Let's take another look at the most important part of your robot, the NXT brick itself. We've already talked about the sockets on the top and bottom of the NXT brick. Now it's time to talk about the buttons on the front of the brick. To turn on your NXT, press the orange button. You'll hear some music and see some graphics on the screen. To turn off the NXT immediately after turning it on, first press the dark gray rectangular button once. The words "Turn Off" should appear on the screen, at which point you should press the orange button. If you've done anything other than just power the NXT on, you may need to press the dark gray rectangular button a couple of times before the words "Turn Off" show up on the screen. But if you keep pressing the dark gray button, eventually the words "Turn Off" will appear on the screen, and then you can just press the orange button to confirm. Pressing the orange button means different things depending on the current context. We've already seen the first two contexts. If the NXT power is off, then pressing the orange button means turn on the power. If there's a question on the NXT screen, like, should I turn off now? Then pressing the orange button means yes. The final context is when the NXT is already powered on and it isn't asking you a question. In that case, the orange button means select. Understanding what that means requires us to talk a little bit more about how the NXT is set up. Remember how I said the NXT is really just a small computer? Well, just like your PC or Mac has a bunch of folders, files, and programs, your NXT has a bunch of folders, files, and programs too. On your PC, you use the My Computer Explorer window to see your files, folders, and programs. On your Mac, you use your Finder. In both cases, you double-click on a folder to see what's inside of it. The LEGO people want to let you do more or less the same thing with the NXT, but they've got two problems. First, the screen is really tiny, and second, you don't have a mouse. Because the screen is so tiny, they only have room for the name of one file or folder with its icon. They do, however, include a little icon for the file or folder that you can find to the right and to the left. On your computer, you use a mouse to move around within an Explorer or a Finder window. On your NXT, you'll use the left and right triangle buttons to move between the icons. Remember, at any given time, you'll only see one name, that is, the name that goes with the icon in the center of the screen. You'll also get one picture icon to the right and another to the left. The triangle buttons only have an effect when the NXT is turned on. On your computer, you double-click the mouse when you want to select a folder, a file, or a program. In order to select a folder, file, or program whose name and icon, In order to select the folder, file, or program whose name or icon you see, In order to select the folder, file, or program whose name and icon you see in the center of your NXT screen, you press the orange button. So just to review, when the power is off, the orange button means turn on the power. When the power's on and the NXT is asking a question like, should I turn off? The orange button means yes. And in any other situation, the orange button means select the icon in the center of my screen. The one button I still haven't really explained is the dark gray rectangular button. Like the triangles, this button only has an effect when the power's on. Most of the time, the dark gray button just means go back up a level. So, for example, if you've used the orange button to go into the settings folder, the dark gray button will take you back out again. The very, very top level is where the system asks, do you want to turn off? That's why the way to turn off your NXT is to simply press the dark gray button as many times as it takes to get to that question, and then answer yes with the orange button. Let me try that paragraph again. You should imagine that the very, very top level is where the system asks, do you want to turn off? That's why the way to turn off your NXT is to simply press the dark gray button as many times as it takes to get to that question, and then answer yes with the orange button. The dark gray button is also the stop button. When your NXT is running a program, pressing the dark gray button will stop it running. So even though we don't actually know what any of the icons represent yet, let's try experimenting with the buttons just a little bit. And then I'll have some start with the robot on. If the robot's already on, turn it off. Now turn it on. Use the arrows to the right and left, and so on.